And to do that, I will share my screen. Now, hopefully you have all had an opportunity to find this syllabus in your Canvas canister and have looked at it. And I've circled a number of items that I'd like to emphasize. The first, at the top of this page, and can you all see this? Is anybody that cannot see the syllabus? I guess you all can then.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, there's a URL there that I've circled. You click on that and you'll get the textbook for the course, Concepts of Biology. This is a free book. You can open it online and search it or not, read portions of it. Or you can download it onto your hard drive, for example, or you can buy it. And if you do any of the, you must do one of those things, because a number of assignments are tied directly to the book. The second circled item is a note, and that is that all versions of this book, regardless of how you get it, have the same information, but the page numbers differ from version to version. So if an assignment calls on you to find the answer on some particular page and you look there and it's not there, don't give up. Just look around, forward and backward. It'll be somewhere close by, but it's just that your version of the book has a different page number than the one I used. Okay, the third circled item is my office hour. I'm only allowed to have 40 hours a week, and that amounts to, 40 minutes a week. Each Wednesday from 3 to 3:40, I will be online. The website is indicated there. So if you log on to that website on Wednesday between 3 and 3:40, I'll be there and you can talk to me about anything you'd like. Scrolling down to this large box. So you already know, since you're here, you know how to log in and participate in Zoom. And as I said before, participation will be noted for each of you in each class, and you will be awarded extra credit. I'll let you know sometime soon how much extra credit that would be, but it'll probably end up being somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 points over the course of the semester, which will be about 10% of your grade. And so that's not insignificant. That could actually make a difference in a full grade level. Technical equipment issues. My past experience has shown me that it's not uncommon for students to have problems with their equipment, either their hardware or their software. And this sometimes happens, they're trying to log in and they can't, or even more critically, in the middle of an exam, they get logged out. And what I want to emphasize here is that I myself have little expertise in digital technology. And so if this happens to you, it's very unlikely that I can help. Rather, I refer you to Canvas, a Canvas number, if you're having a problem with Canvas, for example, taking a test. So all the tests will be administered through Canvas. Or if it's something else, the campus help desk number is given there, along with the email address of the help desk. And the next item is that I can't do makeups for missed assignments or missed quizzes or incomplete exams. But I would like to know if you have a problem. So notify me if you've had a problem. And if it's any way that it can be rectified, I'd like to work with you on that. But the general default is that I can't do makeups. And the next item is cheating on tests and quizzes. So all the tests and quizzes in this course will be closed book. And that means closed to Google searches as well as books or any other type of online searches. Each test or quiz will be timed. That is, quizzes in general will be 10 or 15 minutes. Tests will be the full 75-minute period. And either of them on the day that it's scheduled will be available all day from midnight to midnight. So you can log in and take the exam anytime during the day that it's scheduled, but you'll be time constrained by whether it's a quiz or a test, either 10 minutes or 75 minutes. Is that clear how that works?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If there's evidence of cheating on a question, you'll get a 0 for that question. If it happens more than once in the same exam, you get a 0 for the entire exam. In cases of a collaboration among students, all participants in the collaboration get 0s. So we take cheating very seriously. We have ways of monitoring that, and we will be in touch with you if we think it happened. Okay, that is the end of my highlight film. I want to point out some things that you probably already know. First of all, there's a quiz scheduled for Wednesday, the 3rd. This is a trial run. It's a test. First of all, it's an opportunity for you to test your equipment, make sure it's working. And secondly, it exposes you to the kinds of tests that I give, kinds of questions that I ask. So this first quiz will be ungraded. You'll fill it out and it will be turned in through the Canvas site. And you won't get a grade on it, but it'll give you an idea of what is to come. And it'll also give you an opportunity to fix any technical problems that you might have before we get serious. Secondly, you have in your assignment box in Canvas 2 assignments. One is methods of scientific inquiry. That is due by 11 o'clock on Wednesday, and then it's a worksheet. And then we're going to discuss that worksheet in class on Wednesday. The other assignment that's already there is called Introduction to Biology, also a worksheet. And same thing, it's due, I think at 11 o'clock on Monday. And then on Monday during class, not 11 o'clock, I think 3 o'clock. In class, we will discuss that as a worksheet. And again, neither of these will be graded. The purpose of both of them is to facilitate your learning and to provide a basis for our class discussions. Any questions? You're awfully quiet. Any questions so far?
Hi, my name is Rose. I had a quick question. The methods of scientific, the worksheet, when you click the link, it says access denied.
When you click the link in Canvas,
I also
Yes.
was having that problem.
are you using Safari?
I'm using Google Chrome.
Okay, so that's not the problem. I don't really know. Has anybody else had that problem? Two of you said you did.
For
I'm also
me,
having
it
that
says
problem.
for me it says the specified resource does not exist.
Okay.
Mine says access denied also.
Mine says access denied as well.
It says we've let your instructor know to review the link as soon as possible. So
All right, I will have to go back and it sounds like it's a general problem. There's probably something wrong with the link. And so I will, after this class is over, I will delete this assignment. And which assignment is it?
the
Method-
method of scientific inquiry.
Methods of Scientific Inquiry. It's that one?
Yeah,
Yes.
access denied.
Yeah, I tried the other one and the other one works.
Yeah, the other two work.
Yeah, the other two work.
Okay, the quiz works and the introduction to biology works.
Right.
Yeah.
Just the methods of scientific inquiry do not work.
Okay, so I'll delete that and reissue it. It must be, I have two sections and no one in my other section indicated they had a problem. So it must just be there's something flawed in the link for your session. All right, I will take care of that after this session, after the class is over today. Okay, anything else?
Professor, you mean the quizzes has a special time?
A special day.
A special day is on Wednesday?
Yes, so you will have
If-
all day Wednesday to take the quiz. The quiz itself is time constrained for 10 minutes. So anytime on Wednesday, between midnight and midnight, you can log in and take the quiz, but you'll have 10 minutes. You have to finish in 10 minutes or you'll be logged out.
Anytime in Wednesday, not between.
It's not during class
Midnight,
period. No, it's any
Yeah,
time.
okay. Not on the class between 5:30 and 6:45.
That's correct.
Okay,
Is that clear to everybody?
thank you.
You have all day, you have a full 12 hours in which to take the quiz.
Okay.
But once you log in, you have 10 minutes.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Anything else?
I had another question about the quizzes or any of the tests.
Yeah.
Regarding to like DSPS, how would that work if like you have adjusted time?
I'm not sure I understand. DSPS is for special needs, right?
Right.
And so what is your question?
Like when you have like extra time on tests, how would that work towards your tests since they're set for a specific time?
Are you asking about the time allowed for you to take the test?
Mhm.
Yeah, if you have a special need, I can adjust the time, especially for you.
Okay, so is it per student that you adjust it?
Yeah, if there's a special concern, a special need, I can try to adjust it for that particular person.
Okay.
But I wouldn't adjust it for the whole class. So
Okay.
the rest of the class, when you log in, you have 10 minutes, or in the case of a test, a full hour test, you'd have 75 minutes.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question. My name is Sierra, and I was just looking at the assignments to submit, and it asked for a website URL instead of like a Word or a PDF or a document. Does that mean you want us to upload our assignments to the Google Drive and then copy and paste the website URL to submit our assignments?
You can do it that way, or you can submit a PDF or a Word document. But for the assignments that you have, neither of them is going to be graded. So it's not necessary for you to submit them at all. Do it for your own learning experience, and then we'll use them as a basis for class discussions.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wondered because it didn't give an opportunity to like browse like for documents or anything like that. Just it says a website URL. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the same thing. So for the following assignments, will we be able to then have the option to upload a Word document?
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. I think it might make a difference if I check when I set the test up, if I check that it's going to be graded, I think you'll get a different result than if I check ungraded, which is what I did for both of those. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with the next quiz. Okay, anything else? Another thing I should mention is that I record each class. And I will send you the URL for the recording after each class, after it's processed, so that if you want to review the class, you can. And if you have to miss a class, you can retake it essentially in real time just by going to the recording. All right, so much for business. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and share a different one. Do you see Welcome to Biology 130?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Trying to make it full screen. There it is. Okay. It's a quote from Isaac Asimov. Give you a little bit of time to read that and think about what it means. And then I'm going to ask you to tell me what you think this means. All right. Who wants to indicate what they think this statement means?
And my name's Katrina Bibbard. So what I think this quote is saying is that science isn't necessarily about the new discoveries themselves, but what process it's to get to them. So the thinking and the brainstorming behind them of figuring out why something works more than just, oh, this is how it works.
Okay, so what's more important than the eureka is the thinking that went into planning for it.
Yeah.
Okay, someone else.
I can go. Justin Hansen. I think that it's like saying that when something unexpected happens, it's like good. It's not a bad thing in science, and you can learn from it and stuff like that. I don't know.
So in this case, not getting eureka would be a good thing.
It could be in certain situations.
Okay. Any other interpretation of it?
Yeah, I think that it's trying to say that like if you're like looking for an answer in science and you don't find the answer, but you might learn something else like on accident.
Serendipity.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Any other thoughts?
I think it could be interesting. It could be saying like eureka.
Your name, please.
My name is Patrick Dowell.
Okay.
I think it could possibly mean like eureka. Wow, like we found something else. But that's funny is also exciting because it could possibly be disproving a previously thought theory or something like that, perhaps.
Okay, so falsifiable.
Right.
Your discovery might falsify something that you previously thought.
Right.
Good thought. Anyone else? Okay, well, what's my interpretation? It's very similar to what you've all been saying. It's very often that, well, I can put it more succinctly. I have a geneticist friend who likes to walk out into his lab and people are setting up selection schemes to get mutants. And he'll say in a loud voice, you always get what you select for, but you may not get what you want. So what you're selecting for is eureka, you think you know. But what you get is something completely different. And that's very frustrating until you realize that the problem is the way you set up the selection and not the selection itself. So getting a disappointing or a puzzling, seemingly inconceivable result sets you off on a new train of thinking that in the end is likely to lead you to something even more useful than your original idea. Right, so you have already a couple of study guides and there will be more. These are homework for you and they're to be used to lead you to the things that you should know in this course. And they may or may not be graded. The ones you have will not be, but they will be discussed. And between your studying for them as homework and discussing them in class, The goal is for you to have a clear understanding of what the information is trying to tell you. So watch your Canvas postings for assignments. And not all the material will be lectured in class. Some will remain in your textbook or in the study guides. The quizzes and tests will be based on reading the material, and the material covered in class. And here are the things you need to study in preparing for either a quiz or a test. So there will be either a quiz or a test almost every week. On weeks when there is a test, there'll be no quiz. And if there is a quiz, there won't be a test. So there'll be approximately 10 quizzes at 10 points each, will be about 100 points for the semester. There'll be 4 tests, each worth 100 points for a total of 400 points. And then there'll be a final exam worth 200 points. So the total number of points for the semester is in the neighborhood of 800 to 900 points. So to prepare for these, you study the slide sets. And if you missed a lecture or otherwise would like to, you can go to the recording and review it all over again from beginning to end. Those are the recordings of the class Zoom sessions. It's always a good idea to go back and look at previous tests, see what kinds of questions were asked previously. It's especially true on the tests and on the final exam. You should be familiar with all the assigned readings in the textbook, and as I said, the worksheets and the study guides. Any questions about how to prepare? I should also mention that it's a good idea to not wait until the night before, but rather spend a little time each day studying the material that's been presented that day or that week.
Professor, I have a question. My name is Whitley. So for the quiz or exam, do you send the announcement a day before the quiz or the exam due?
Yes, you'll be notified well in advance, and the quiz or exam will be posted, but it won't be accessible to you until the day of.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Hello, professors. This is Roman Vysotsky. Will you be having a practice exam posted online?
Wednesday.
No, but will we have a practice exam to go along with it, or no?
Well, Wednesday is a practice quiz.
Oh, I see. So we're gonna gauge our what kind of test, like how the test is gonna look by those practice exams.
Yeah. So I called it quiz number 1. That's already posted in Canvas. It's not accessible to you until Wednesday, but all day Wednesday, all you have to do is log into Canvas, click on quizzes, click on quiz 1, and it will open up for you. And at that point, you'll have 10 minutes to answer the questions. And the purpose of this is, number 1, to test your equipment. Can your hardware handle a quiz in Canvas? And if it doesn't, then you have time to get it fixed before the next one. And the other is to expose you to the kinds of questions that I ask, because for the rest of the semester, the things you see on quiz 1, that style will show up over and over again. The only thing that'll change is the material that's covered.
All right, thank you.
Clear? Okay, anything else? Any other questions or comments? Okay, what is biology? The study of life. What is life? We're not going to talk about that right now because you'll find it in the text, pages 5 to 9. And you have a worksheet that will deal with that in part. And it also shows up on quiz 1. What are the properties that define life? You'll find that in the text book. Now, biology is a very broad field. So to make it manageable, it's been broken up into smaller subdisciplines. There's a lot of overlap among subdisciplines, but it's not unusual when you hear a biologist refer to his or herself that they won't just say, I'm a biologist, they'll list a subdiscipline. So we'll talk about most of these, in fact, all of these as the semester goes on. But as a starting point, let's talk about how you view some of these terms now. What is microbiology?
My name is Patrick Dowell. Microbiology would be like microscopic things. You know, typically using a microscope to view what you're looking at. It might be on a slide of some sort, or looking at cells, perhaps looking for cancer cells, stuff, anything very small.
Okay. So someone else, what's the difference between microbiology and bacteriology? Anyone want to try?
Like microorganisms that have to do with life.
Your name, please?
Rosemary.
Okay, and so you're saying the difference between bacteriology and microbiology is what?
Microorganisms that are like the building blocks of life. So you would deal with those systems.
Okay, anybody else have an idea about the difference?
I think bacteriology would fall under microbiology because bacteria would be considered a microorganism. But I mean, I could be wrong, but that's just my thought.
Okay. Anyone else have a thought?
Hi, my name is Doris Garcia. I was just gonna say, I feel like microbiology is more of like a broad study of like certain organisms, and then bacteriology would be like the study of bacteria or bacterial organisms.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, you're all on the right track. Microbiology is a subdiscipline, but it's a broader term than bacteriology. Microbiology, someone mentioned the use of a microscope. If you have to use a microscope to see it, it probably falls into microbiology, except someone mentioned a cancer cell. Yeah, you need a microscope to see it, but cancer cells would not be considered microbes because they're not standalone organisms. Bacteriology, on the other hand, is specific to bacteria. And we'll talk later about the definition of a bacterium, along with a number of other things. What is genetics?
My name's Katrina Vibbard, and
Say your name.
genetic Katrina Vibbard.
Okay.
And genetic is like our DNA, and the genetic material that is transferable from generation to generation.
Okay, someone else?
My name is Samira Al Mohammed. I think it's like a study of heredity.
The study of
Varia-
heredity.
Yeah, variation.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Lynn, you want to test? Yes. You didn't even text me.
Could you speak closer to the microphone? I can't hear you.
I got you.
Or genetics.
Uh-huh.
You have no one to use this slide. Uh-huh. Which I told change the name by business. He doesn't know how to know. Okay. You're like, look what I got.
I didn't get that question. But yes, what's been said already is pretty accurately. Genetics is the study of genes, and it can be either genes as abstractions, as when we talk about Mendelian genetics, genes are just the things that control traits, or when we come to molecular genetics, we actually talk about sequences of DNA in test tubes. And genetics as a broad term applies to either. Immunology.
It's the study of your system.
Your name?
Rosemary. And you get most of that genetic code from the genetics of your parents. So the study of how it's passed along.
Yeah, that's heredity is another word for genetics. But I had moved on to the term immunology. Does anyone know what immunology is?
My name is Doris Garcia. I would say it's like the study of like immunity. And I think that would just like tie back to like the immune system and maybe like things that we use to upkeep the immune system or fight it off, like when we're experiencing like sicknesses or stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Patrick Dowell here.
Dowell?
Perhaps it could include like vaccinations and things like of that nature. Like I imagine immunology would play a pretty big role in the research going on with COVID right now.
Exactly. That's what's going on in San Diego County right now at a number of sites. Vaccinations to inspire immune reaction to the coronavirus. So yes, immunology is a study of the immune system. What is virology?
Go ahead.
I think it's study with viruses.
And how would you relate it to microbiology?
You're right here, you're safe. Obeta's safe for me and Obeta safe. Give me some
Microbiology.
Somebody's speaking, but I can't hear it. I don't know if it's background or someone's trying to ask a question. Anyway, yes, virology is a subdiscipline of microbiology, and we'll talk later about what a virus is and whether or not it's alive. What is botany?
Hi, my name is Susanna Taylor. Botany is the study of plants.
Okay. Anyone disagree with that? Hope not. Yes, you're right. Botany is the study of plants. And Someone else? What is zoology?
That's the study of animals.
Okay,
Oh, and my name's Kiyomi Anderson.
Henry Anderson. All right, yes. That's unambiguous. It's a study of animals. Molecular biology.
That's the study of molecules and like their makeup.
Anyone else?
What my name's Katrina Vibert. Wouldn't that be the study of life on like on the molecule level, like looking at the formations of cells in life in general?
Okay. Any other thoughts? Molecular biology is a little bit tricky.
Patrick Dowell. I'm not sure. I'm kind of guessing here, but I would guess maybe it's how molecules interact with living things in biology. Perhaps.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you're all on the right track. Nobody's hit the nail on the head exactly.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
My name is Doris Garcia, and I was gonna say that it's probably like the structure and maybe just how like molecules of all types like form.
Okay. Someone else had a thought.
Michael Zruer here. I was gonna say it has to do with something like on the molecular level, so maybe how plants, or I mean cells, interact like between each other on the molecular level.
Intercellular interactions.
Yeah.
Okay, any other thoughts? The precise definition of molecular biology, I actually didn't look it up, but in fact, in practical usage, it refers to the macromolecules, the long polymers, DNA, RNA, and proteins, and some people would include polysaccharides in that. And when we get further along in the course, we'll talk in detail about all of these macromolecules, how they're made and what their functions are. So let's go to proteomics. That's a specialized term, relatively recent.
Professor,
Yeah.
my name is Whitley. I think it is the study of proteomes.
The study of proteomes?
Yes.
Okay, that's true, but would someone like to say what a proteome is?
Leanne Metzger, the study of protein.
It is the study of proteins. So someone else. Does proteome ring a bell with anybody?
My name is Doris Garcia. I was just gonna say nutrients, but I think that would be like the same thing as the proteins. So like the nutrients that make up or the nutrients that make up like protein. Sorry.
The nutrients that make up proteins, the components of proteins.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, proteomics relates to the proteome, and the proteome is all the proteins in a cell. So whereas the genome is all the genes in a cell, the proteome is all the proteins in the cell. And the reason that's a recent term is it's been only in the last few years that it's been possible to study all the proteins in a cell at once. And prior to that, you could do them one at a time. But now we have genetics, study of one gene. We have genomics, study of all the genes at one time. We have similarly proteins, study of one protein at a time. Proteomics, study of all the proteins in the cell at the same time. And we'll talk more about how that's done later in the course. What's anatomy?
Kiyomi
Rafael
Anderson.
Cruz? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You can go ahead.
It's the study of the human body, the systems, vascular system, the skeleton system, nervous system.
Okay.
Kiyomi Anderson. It's the structure of all living things. So anatomy can also go into like animals too.
Okay. Someone else?
Dissection or post-mortem.
What's your name?
My name is Samira Muhammad.
Okay. And say again what your thought?
Dissection.
Dissection.
Yeah. Post-mortem.
Okay. In a word, anatomy is structure. So compare anatomy with physiology. If anatomy is structure, what is physiology?
Rosemary, this is Rosemary. Physiology is how the structures work together for life just to work in general, I guess.
Yeah, you're on the right track. Anyone else on physiology? What is physiology?
Patrick Dowell here, your genetic makeup.
Physiology, genetic makeup?
I think, possibly.
Anyone else?
Hi, Doris Garcia. I was just gonna say that it's like the function of like the organisms.
Yeah, you put a keyword in there. So I was contrasting anatomy with physiology. Anatomy is structure. Physiology is function, in a word. So it's how all of the reactions in a cell work together to achieve homeostasis. So those two terms are a nice juxtaposition. Let's move on to ecology. People who haven't spoken up, I'd like to hear from you. What's ecology?
Hi, yeah, my name is Sierra, and I think ecology kind of has to do with like the environment and how things interact with one another, like animals and the land and how, yeah, their interactions.
Okay, any other view on ecology? Well, hearing none, Sierra had a pretty good definition of it. It's the interaction between organisms and the environment. And that's pretty much what Sierra said. Bioinformatics, another relatively new term. Anyone know what bioinformatics is without Googling it? Anyone take a guess?
I'll take a guess. It's Katrina Weber. Would it be the study of the life formations, like the formations that the cells and
Life forms?
organisms make? Yeah, life forms.
Okay, life forms. Anyone else? take a stab at bioinformatics?
Like what know something hiding in the future.
Okay, something hiding. That's a good hint. Think in terms of genetics and molecular biology. Proteomics. Okay, bioinformatics is usually the study of DNA sequences. Now, it can also be the study of RNA sequences or protein amino acid sequences, but it's trying to extract information, meaning, from sequences. If you sequence a genome or a gene, any sequence, it has no meaning. It's just, in the case of DNA, the sequence is just a string of A's and T's and G's and C's. So you have to figure out how that particular pattern of A's and T's and G's and C's has biological meaning. So bioinformaticists are people who use computers to extract information from sequences. Pathology, what's that?
Hi, Aiden Dittmar. It is the study of viruses, diseases, etc., in relation to how they form and how they disperse throughout a population.
Good. That's a good description of pathology. It refers to disease, and it can be either plant disease or animal disease. In fact, plant pathology is my field of expertise. So I'm very familiar with diseases of plants. Okay, we've pretty much covered most of these terms. We will be coming back to, I think, all of them at one point or another throughout the course of the semester. So I appreciate that you've all, without any background, have contributed to defining what these terms mean. Let's move on. At the end of this semester, you will do a project. And the project will be on this disease, human disease called cystic fibrosis. You may or may not have ever heard of this, doesn't matter. Why was cystic fibrosis chosen for an introductory biology course to do a project? Well, it's because this one disease integrates a whole array of biological specializations to focus on a complex system, in this case, a disease. So if you look to the upper left here, eukaryotic cells, organisms, structure, and function relates directly to cystic fibrosis because lungs are an organ, pancreas is an organ, digestive system, and enzymes within it, metabolism, how does photosynthesis relate? It's because it's tied through respiration. Metabolism all feeds in to this disease, cystic fibrosis. Genetic structure and transmission, proteins and mutations. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease. It can only happen if mutations occur in this one particular protein. And that protein just happens to be, if you go up to membrane structure and function, that protein is a membrane component. And when it doesn't function properly, you get disease symptoms. Prokaryotic cells related to infection. Once someone has this disease and their lungs start to function improperly, their pancreas does the same, they're prone to infection by bacteria. So I hope you can see that at a high level, there are a lot of different subdisciplines and specializations involved in the study and cure of this disease, cystic fibrosis. So you'll receive a lot more information about it, and you will do a project at the end of the semester, by which time you'll know a lot about cystic fibrosis and what can be done about it. Any questions about this as a project for the semester?
Patrick Dowell here. I have a question, Professor.
Yeah.
Will this be a single person project, or are we doing group projects?
I haven't fully decided, but I'm thinking of dividing the class up into groups of 3.
Okay.
And then I will ask you to address a series of specific questions about cystic fibrosis. And you will be assigned a mutant. So as I said, all cases of cystic fibrosis depend on having a mutation in the genome. And the same mutations show up over and over and over again. So your group will be assigned a mutation, and then you'll have to submit a report, a PowerPoint presentation describing your mutation and how it affects the body and what the symptoms are. All this will become much clearer later on. Someone else was about to speak.
Oh yes, I was gonna say, is that gonna be a kind of a research subject, and then after we done the research, and then we do the presentation, right?
Yeah, and it's literature research. It's not lab research. So you do a literature research and you collect information about your mutant, and then you report that. We'll have 1 or 2 class periods designated just for hearing your reports.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything? Yes, someone else? Anything you don't understand about it now, you will later. Biology at the various different levels, starting in the upper left at the molecular level, for example, a molecule of glucose. A plant cell is the cellular level. Plant cells make glucose and feed it to the rest of the body. At the organism level, you have a saguaro cactus, a single individual. That's an organism. A group of cacti is a population. A community is not only the cactus species themselves, but all the other species, both plants and animals that live in that community, in that area. And here we have the ecosystem, the interaction of living things with the physical environment, a rainstorm. And a rainstorm is particularly important in a desert because that's one of the few opportunities for a cactus to soak up a lot of water that it can then fall back on during dry periods. And finally, planet Earth. There's no part of the Earth anymore that is isolated. We have plastics everywhere, even in the polar ice caps. We have greenhouse gases everywhere. If one country produces gases, they get dispersed to all the other countries. So the Earth is a complex system, and if you wiggle something in one part of it, everything else and all parts of it will also wiggle. That's the global level. And now the bottom line. Life on Earth evolved only once. So I'd like you to stop and think about that. It's really profound that all the life we have on this planet had a starting point. Life has not happened at multiple places on the planet. So you didn't have one life forms starting in Africa and another one in New Zealand. Life started just once on this planet from a single progenitor cell. And after that founder event, life has taken on an infinite variety of forms over billions of years, roughly between 3 and 4 billion years, which is more time than we can even imagine. But because these amounts of time are so huge, it's given life forms the ability to hone and refine their metabolic systems, and then diverge into this essentially infinite variety of forms that we can see as we travel around the planet. And yet, despite all these different forms, if you take any particular organism, it has the same common suite of characteristics that original progenitor cell had. The original cell had all the characteristics that we define as life. And any organism that you can find contemporarily has all those same characteristics. Once again, you go to your textbook, pages 5 and 9, and you'll see what those characteristics are. Take some time to think about this. Any questions or any thoughts about it on the spur of the moment? Hearing none. What does a scientist look like? Bill Nye, a wild scientist. This is sort of our stereotypical image of a scientist, but who are scientists really? Look at this series of pictures and think about which, if any of them, does any of these people look to you like a scientist?
The guy smiling in the middle does.
I think they're all scientists.
Yeah.
So that's an easy cop out. You could either say they're all scientists or none of them are scientists. Yeah, we won't quibble about it. In fact, these are actual people, each of which is a scientist. So it doesn't really matter what a person looks like or what their hobbies might be. Scientists take a very wide swath of the community. In fact, quite a number of scientists, particularly it seems to me molecular biologists, are also musicians. I've known some that play in rock bands. And someone was mentioning earlier that, is it the band Queen? The guy's a biochemist, one of the guys.
Oh, yeah. Very true.
I've also known molecular biologists who are very good painters, good artists in their spare time. Many scientists are good family people. They have lives outside of science. Other scientists dedicate their lives strictly to science, and they have very, very little life outside of that. It's a choice that people make. Okay, any other thoughts? We're getting close to the end of the period. That's the last slide that I have for today. So we'll end the session. As I said, this is being recorded and I'll send you the URL for it. And the slide set itself will be in your canister, in your Canvas canister. Any questions or comments before we end the session?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah.
I am Samira Al Muhammad. About the project, everyone, I think, has work and the kids. Maybe if, like me, I am married, I have 5 kids.
Mhm.
All of them is on elementary. Can I did or I do the project alone about my free time or about my time? Because I have many courses, not like a biology.
Yeah, you should have a lot of flexibility there. You will be paired or grouped with at least 2 other people. And it's up to the group to decide how to approach this project. So you can all work together on it, or you can divide up responsibilities for it. Later on in the semester, I will assign each group a mutant, and then that group can decide how to go about preparing a report, a presentation on that mutant. So you should have a lot of flexibility there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Anything else?
Yes, my name is Doris Garcia. I just wanted to know, will you be taking attendance or how is that recorded?
I'm not taking attendance. I'm from here on, I didn't today, but from here on, I would like to take participation. So I would like to encourage every member of the class to participate in some way, speak up, either ask a question, answer a question, be involved in a discussion on whatever the topic is of that day. And if you participate, you'll get extra credit for it. And I don't know right now what that extra credit will be, but I should know soon. So I'll be able to tell you what you get if you participate, or what you miss out on if you don't.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
My name's Katrina Vebert, and about Zoom meeting. If something comes up and we're unable to make it to the class, do we email you telling you we can't make it to class, or is it okay?
It's okay, and I appreciate it if you do email me and let me know. However, if you do miss, you will be able to access the recording of that lecture once it's processed. So I'm recording this right now. It'll take maybe an hour to get it processed, and then I will send you the URL. I'll make an announcement to the whole class. Here's the URL. You can use the recording as you wish. So you can use it not only to catch up on what you might have missed, but also to study for tests and quizzes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? If not, I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording.